True beauty, or true pretty, in my humble opinion. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching wherever you see this video. Now, there's something that I've always thought over the years now. I'm embarking on 50 years old, but that's neither here nor there. This is kind of the way I've been. Even as a young woman, I sort of had this kind of attitude and view about, this external physicality. Okay, definitely young, when I was young, and I still do, the makeup, beauty industry, fashion industry, it's fun, all of that good old stuff. And believed that, our own unique brand of that. Now, granted, depending on where you are on this globe, the culture and background and all that, and the way it kind of fashions what's standardized external beauty or pretty is. But listen, what I found to be even more fascinating as I begin to continue my journey, evolving, going through, they call it the fool's path, the hero's journey. You're going through all these phases of seekers of truth, right? Seeking truth. And, from religion to spirituality and everything in between and nothing. You know what I'm saying? But what I find fascinating about our culture, and this is just my opinion, and if this is not for you, don't vibe with you, that's okay. It's okay. This obsession, I know it's consumerism, and I know the big powers that be, this is an industry, and keep people fighting and keep people competing and keep people feeling like they need to be relevant, and that, the clock is ticking and yada yada, and there's only so much, that whole vibe. And when it came to spirituality, one of the things that I've seen that kind of makes my stomach churn is that anything can be misused. I do talk about this. Anything in the hands or the mind of somebody that does not know how to self-reflect, that is not self-aware, that does not know how to go within and know how to address themselves, right? The inner themselves. This is a disaster when it comes to them coming into knowledge and power of anything, because it's going to be misused, mishandled, and abused. And this is just my personal opinion here. One of the things is that when people have insecurities that they may not be admitting or facing about their appearance, it doesn't even matter. I need to say this for a record. Sometimes it's not a matter of them actually being unattractive. It's just whatever they've been told or however they feel. Okay? And when that's the driving force of somebody, no matter how much money they have or status and all of that, depending on what it is that is triggering about them, another woman's appearance will be a problem. They'll perceive it that way. They will perceive it as the thing that takes away from what they could be otherwise getting. The love, the attention, the admiration, right? And if they see that that's what that woman is receiving, then instead of them working on themselves from the inside out and valuing and loving themselves with each step of that, okay, albeit as imperfect as that's gonna be, but instead of doing that, they get into dabbling into doing glamours on other women, okay? Glamours or hexes, vexes, jinxes, attempting to alter their physical appearance. if at all possible, on some level, attempting to alter it, even if it's nothing but a glamour, in a sense of being able to alter it based on causing people to perceive, even if they can't truly alter it. They'll try. And if they have physical proximity, then they will try actual physical things. I've seen that over the years. They'll try physical things. You see this in high school where, a gang of mean girls in a high school will go beat up this pretty girl, and a part of it is their insecurity and their envy and them wanting to bring her down, them wanting to humiliate, in the name of feeling not so irrelevant, if that's a word, or not so unattractive. People are doing that today, and I find that sad for them. A woman worth her salt that has grown and evolved understands that, first and foremost, another woman's beauty and appearance does not negate or take away from who she is. Okay? But I find it sad for these types, because if the only way you can feel beautiful is by making another person not beautiful or altering that, that's sad. That's sad. And it's a reflection of there's more to be done. And again, that's just my humble opinion. There's more work to do. Sometimes, these are women who are upset. And, this can go both ways, but this video is really featuring women. But definitely I know men get into the same thing, okay? But this could be also women who never felt seen, or women that are upset that a particular man finds someone more attractive, and then in that they get into, well, I'll show you. I'm going to energetically, assault her, or whatever they can do. In some cases, this morphs into trying to stop these women from being able to take care of themselves. So, like, if they can't alter, well, if we can affect their stability, then they're not going to be able to take care of themselves. And then, of course, then their appearance is going to deteriorate, because if you can't stabilize, you see that? If you can't stabilize, then you're in survival. And I just want to say out there in the universe, hey, to each his own. Everybody's going to do what they're going to do. But word to the wise out there, your life, your time, your energy, and resources are better spent on embettering yourself. You will reap a much better return, a much greater fruit in your life, and with minimum backlash, with minimum possible negative effects. Because, or else out there, just hear me out. Whoever is so willing to hear me. If you don't hear me out, then I really don't care. This is for those who will. You'll spend your life chasing who you perceive to be your enemy. You will spend your life and your resources and your time and your investments on needing to get rid of who you're perceiving to be a threat, competition, I saw 919, to you. And it's going to always be something and somebody. And that's going to be the way you live. That is the win-lose scarcity mindset. Someone doesn't have to be unattractive for you to be attractive. Someone doesn't have to be poor, less than, beat up, beat down, busted, and disgusted for you to matter. The journey is about us, you, me, within, just all 10 10. I used to say this years ago, and I'ma still say it now. There's always gonna be. Because some people think I'm only saying this with my old age, but that's just not true. I've been talking this way for a long time, even in eras such as my more youthfulness, okay? So no, that ain't got nothing to do with it. There's gonna always be someone that, according to the standards of the world that we live, that may be considered more aesthetically appealing, that may be considered more whatever, but we're enough. See here, you see that whole we not enough stuff? Because that's where this comes from. There's always gonna be that. So it's really futile. It's a futile thing. There's always going to be someone with a better body. There's always going to be somebody with a better hair. There's always going to be somebody with better stuff. There's just always going to be. When we keep at the getting to the wholeness and the loving of self and the sovereignty and getting past the being overly attached and valuing ourselves beyond what we have, our accomplishments, our appearance, and what person is oohing and awing after it, then you can't be shaken. Because it is no longer predicated on hashtag if you're relevant, hashtag if you trending, hashtag everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because humans are fickle. Humans are fickle. If we haven't learned anything else, we should have been learning that. Humans are fickle. Humans are secular too. We change. Just like the seasons. So if it's too predicated on how many likes, follows, shares, and subscribes you got, then you'll be shaken when that changes, or if it changes through the seasons. If a particular fella or woman was all enamored with you and put you on this pedestal and told you you was the next best thing since sliced bread and sashayed you around the globe and really made you feel wonderful, but 3 months later he ghosts you or he treats you like trash and it's almost as if everything he ever said isn't true or he lied, if you're not solid, I'm not saying that it's not gonna hurt, that there's something wrong with hurting. What I'm saying is if you're not solid, that's gonna begin to tear and deteriorate because that happens to all of us. And this is what we end up rebearing. And this is how we get to the space to understand. It's about you. Getting into these unhealthy high school competitions at 30 years old up and up should be something y'all out there are starting to meditate on. Okay? That's just my humble opinion. And it is something, before I even say that, it is something that I have had to chew and swallow and chew and swallow and chew and swallow and make adjustments and chew and swallow. I never really got into the competition type stuff. That was never my vibe. But the part about how I have allowed over the years these things to affect my self-esteem and self-worth, that's what I had to adjust. I never got into the pettiness. I never got into the I'm not saying I never did anything petty. I'm saying I never got into this type of stuff where I'm trying to go harm this woman because I perceive she's prettier than me, or she's getting more attention than me, or some guy that I want wants her. Like, I've never gotten into that and became her stalker and, looking for ways to kind of, I just didn't. That was not my path. I didn't use my religion or my spirituality for those things. When I was on the religious path, much like the spiritual path, and much like even now, because I'm on neither. And that's what's fascinating too. Because you do get to the phase where you realize it's all shit. Because most of it is just programming, hijacking the original. So I'm none of it. I am about evolution and conscious expansion and sovereignty, and the systems as we know it ain't having that. That's the resistance on it. Now, that's a little bit off track there. But all I'm really trying to say with that is that even through these journeys of mine, I didn't use those journeys of mine in that way. I'm actually thankful and honored to my higher oversoul, my benevolent support team, the true source of light creations, the origins before the fuckery. I'm thankful for that. I had all of my many mistakes and failures through this journey and still do. But I'm thankful for that I did not use it as a whipping post. I didn't use it for abuse. I didn't use it for my personal anger problems and insecurities to vomit out, but hiding it behind my stuff. On the side where I was a Christian, I didn't, all of a sudden want to go find off and just use it as a whipping post for them, and spirituality, the spell work and all of that. It's like, I'm going to do spells. I actually was trying to help myself throughout the entire journey with all of its errors, with all of the wrong turns, with all of the misinformation, with all of the mistakes. That's what my heart is. That's what it was. That's what it will continue to be. It was about mastery for me the entire time. It was about me and bettering me, but not at the expense of trying to tear someone else down. And there are many women today, and all creeds and colors and nations and backgrounds and belief systems, you name it, ranging from 30 and up, that are still, whether they are conscious, aware of it, they're still sometimes conducting from that space. This is where all of the hate talk comes from. This is where we call it, rumors and smear campaigns and all of that. And then in some cases, this is where you get the spiritual abuse, and this is where you get the abuse of power, because, these women are often accomplished. And so, we've all seen those stories. I have a video on my TikTok where I reposted a young woman where somebody in position, they're triggered, and they are exercising their power and authority to try to put her in her place by being excessive on things about her appearance. and writing her up and just all sorts of things. So you guys, I even have a video also on TikTok. It's a short that I created, I think, when I first started TikTok years ago. And it was two trees next to each other. And I was really saying, I think it's about a minute and a half, that trees are standing against each other and they're not in competition. They're not trying to sabotage the tree and the leaf and the branch next to it because, you know, it needs to be the best tree and the tree that everybody worships and, you know, adores, and it's the tree is taking up its sustenance. It's they're both standing there and they're both in their glory and they're both what they are, and they were both serving and unique. If humans can get there, especially past a certain age, I understand that we got to grow from our youth, but if we can get there past a certain age, and then we can then be a better exampleship, a living one, not a preachy one, a living one, so that we're showing them, hey, we all have insecurities. Some of us don't look at that, but we all have things that we want to perfect and things like that. But that's not the way to go, tearing others down so that you can feel more pretty. That's an ugly spirit. So for those of you out there who hear it, then good for you. And I'm sure you're going to take this where you take it. For the collective of you out there where this is you, this is possibly just reminding you already that you're on the money, you're on point, and you have the right idea that your time, money, energy, and efforts are better spent on self-improvement and mastery. Not that you don't do other things if it's warranted. You know, you're protecting yourself. You know, that's a part of life as we know it. But for the most part, if we understood that that's where the real fruit is, that's the real evolution, and that's the real place of manifestation, then we wouldn't be in the vibe of feeling this survival of the fittest and, you know, doggy dog world, and we got to get rid of the competition and we got to steal from somebody else's shit and we got to this and that. So congratulations, because you already are above 80% of population. Because that's just not the world that we know. That's not the masses. So if you're there, that tells me you've been on your own journey working through things. And you're one that wants to lean on the healthier side of whatever phase of your journey you're on, whether you're still working through the religious side, whether you have come to the portion where you're now dealing with spirituality aspects, or you're coming towards the latter and you're integrating and disintegrating all that, realizing like, okay, it's about this system and this programming and this got to shatter, getting to the sovereignty and your true frequency, no matter which, and everything in between. Then kudos. I tilt my hat, my proverbial hat to you, salute you, and keep at it. It's tempting, the world, and it will always attempt to drag you into its vibe, into its frequency, by taunting you. That's a part of it. Believe it or not, that is to pull you out, pull you out of your element, pull you out of what it is you're building and working on, even if that's just you. Because sometimes some of us don't have these big pow, pang, boom. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of this self-mastery and all sovereignty over your own energy. And most people don't know how to do that. and they have no interest in learning how to do that. And so then they are attempting to pull you out of that. You see that? By attempting to antagonize you, prompt, test you, irritate you, to get you into their vibe, to get you fighting. I want to say it's either Confucius or Nietzsche, or I heard it on one of the videos that I watched on YouTube, and it was a couple of things. It said, one who fights monsters must be careful, lest they eventually become the monster. Because you'll end up getting all too consumed. All your energy, all your time, all your focus. And let me tell you, I ain't even trying to perpetrate here, okay? That portion is something that I'm still working on, because, when you've been exposed to long exposure to trauma and abuse, okay, and everything else. So that's the part I have to still pull myself in ever so often, because it's like a 3-year-old with the finger in your face type of a vibe. I'm not touching you, but they're up there, they're doing flips. They got their finger damn near touching you. But you see that kind of little childish, devious behavior. But it's getting better. I will say I'm mastering it. I've become more creative. Hence, I'm telling y'all, give yourself permission and intention to find ways to do that, so that you can continue your journey and not allow yourself to be a crab in the bucket that they keep trying to pull at your ankle. To get you into, okay? Your beauty, their beauty, our beauty is not each other's problem. We're not each other's problems. We're not each other's threats. The system loves that, because there's an over $1 billion industry okay, and drama and toxicity, that's another industry. So true beauty, true pretty, in my esteem, does not need to undermine someone else's. Whether it's via gossip, via spell work, or via actually physically trying to alter their appearance or affect their ability to take care of their appearance. Think about it.